Hello all, good morning, good evening. Today we are going to implement the promise chain. Okay, in the last few videos, we understand what is a promise and how to create a simple promise and what are the promise methods like then and catch and how to create a simple function and inside that we can return a promise in a proper way. So here in this we are going to take three asynchronous tasks, okay, and this task 2 is depend on task 1 result and task 3 depends on task 2 results. Okay, task 4 is depends on task 3 results. Okay, right now in this example this three tasks are enough. Okay, so but we can chain n number of uh, asynchronous things. Okay, for simple understanding purpose this is more than enough. So here I'm mentioning the task 1. What is the task 1? So task 1 is we should get user details. Okay, just if you pass, for example, user ID. Suppose if you just pass user ID, it should return the user details. Like we need user name, okay, and email ID, okay, and of course, use already user ID should be there. So he should return these three details. So it's better to return in an object, okay, like user ID and some value and username, some value and email ID, some value. Okay, got it? Okay, this is the task one. And then task two, because task for the task one, we have given an input directly. Or not one. So if you see for the task two is get repository names, repos. Because, for example, we are dealing with a GitHub repository. First, we should get user details based on the user ID, and after that, okay, how many repositories he has created, we should get those details. Okay, so for that, we should send email ID. Okay, just understanding purpose. Maybe in real time, we can deal in a different way. The get repositories, for if you want to get a repositories, you should have a email ID. Okay, you should pass the email ID. Okay, who will provide this email ID? Because we are getting this email ID from the task one, so we should pass this email ID to a task 2. That means here the input is email ID that is coming from task 1. Okay, task 1 output is the from the task 1 output we are taking the input for the task 2. Okay, got it? So here it will return some array of repository details. Okay, we can define them, array of repository details. Okay, and the third task is the task 3. Okay, what is the task 3? So it's better to add here itself. Okay, so we need email ID. So please observe carefully. This email ID is coming from the result of task 1, and at the same time task 3 need get commits. So I hope you are aware, right? So we are dealing with the GitHub repository. What are the changes you are doing daily? You are doing the commits, right? Okay, if you're new to this GitHub, don't worry. Just think that these three are different asynchronous tasks. One is dependent on other. Simple. So after watching this example, definitely you will understand. So for here, git commits, you should pass the repository ID or repository name. So we can go with a repo name. So if you give a repository name, suppose if you see, if this user have maybe a three items, okay, three repositories are there. So you should return three repository details to us. Okay, from those three repositories, we are going to read the one repository name and we should get the details of that repository. Okay, got it? I hope. And the result is commits. So maybe array of details or objects, that's enough. So whatever the result we will get, we will just display in the output. So I hope you understand the requirement clearly. Okay, otherwise just watch this first discussion again. So we have get user and get repos and get commits. Three asynchronous calls are there, and get repos input is depends on the result of get user, and get commits input, this depends on result of the task 2. So now we understand that clearly these are depending on each other. So this is the we can deal with the promise chain. Okay, so fine. So first let's see, first we can write the logic for get user. Okay, this is a simple function, get user details or something, the simple get user. So remember, these are asynchronous calls. Okay, these are asynchronous calls, that means we are dealing with the promises. So what we are doing here, so just return a new promise. Okay, new promise. So please do practice three times, four times, five times, because this somewhat different syntax and complex logic. So if without doing practice you can't understand. Even if you understand, after a few days you will forget everything. So please do continuous practice and revision. Okay, hope you will do. So return new promise, this new promise is expecting a callback. Okay, callback. Okay, superb. And here this callback we are passing two arguments. One is resolve. Okay, resolve and reject. Super fantastic. Resolve and reject. Now here, whenever we call the get user, just give a simple message to the user like a console.log that I'm going to start the work to get. So what we can call send direct. Okay, calling calling get user. Otherwise, what we can call, just give a suggestion, give me a suggestion, good message. Okay, sending request to the server, sending request to server with the get user. That means you should get the confirmation that okay, it is going to be triggered. So now, so we discussed that it is asynchronous and we don't know how much time it will take, right? So normally we will call the REST APIs with the help of fetch API or Axios or something. But here we can deal with the set timeout. Okay, we can set timeout, not set interval. Okay, if you go with a set interval, it will be a mess. So set timeout, okay, it is also expecting another callback. So if you see how many callbacks we are writing, if you don't handle properly, it's going to be complex. So this is, it will take 10,000 milliseconds to execute this callback. That means we are sending the request and we will get the response after 10,000 milliseconds. Okay, that's what we are going to implement here. So if you see, if you got the result, so here we can define the user details. Let user. So normally, if you call the REST API like simple fetch dot get. Okay, normally we will give a URL. Suppose http colon and www.github.com slash user ID something. I'm just giving user ID and you can pass that user ID as 101. Okay, that's it. Of course, we should pass the user ID, right? User ID. So if you pass this user ID to that, okay, he will send the response like user, and then we can return it. Okay, but here don't worry, we are using a set timeout, and we are going to feel that okay we got the result. Okay, just define the object. What are the things we have discussed? We need a user ID and username and email ID. So user ID, the same thing what we are passing as a parameter. And now username, username will be, so just give a username like Naren, okay? And email ID, that will be svga.naren@gmail.com. Please do practice along with me. Please do practice along with me so that it's going to be very easy. And now just give a pause on this video and just write down the logic, and then only you will understand properly. Otherwise, it's really, really difficult. Okay, so fine. So here the user is there. Now what we are doing, if suppose if this fetch.get returns the user object, will going to be it is going to be resolved, and if you don't find any result, it will be a reject. So we can implement in the same way. So here I'm simply building that if user, because we already hard coded, but we can switch the details and we can try. If user is there, and then we can do resolve, okay, and we can pass the user information to this resolve callback, and it will handle when the fulfill state. Okay, resolve is referred to the fulfill state, reject will be a rejected state, right? We know, right? Promise is have a multiple state, that pending, resolve, fulfilled and rejected. Okay, suppose if we don't have any data, if we don't have, if we didn't get any result in the user even after sending a request to the server, GitHub server, so what we need to do, just to do a reject and give a message, right? Something went wrong, but here we know exactly we didn't receive a user detail. So that means maybe we can say maybe user ID is wrong, or please enter proper user ID, or uh, we didn't get this user ID is not available. This user is not available. That is good, right? This user is not found, not found error. Okay, if you don't get the results, it will be a not found error. And this user is not found, and you can say okay, error. Okay, just give a simple good message. That's fine. Okay, so fine, we have done our first task. We just ready with that. Okay, let's see whether it is working or not properly. Okay, first we should test it. So here already yesterday we understand this. For understanding purpose, I'm just rewriting one more time. So 101. So if you pass 101, so it will return a promise, right? It will return a promise. Just understand here, it will return a promise. So here you can say promise one, okay, or user promise, get user promise. So once you invoke this get user, and initially it will return a promise to you, and later it will take the action of resolve or reject based on the state of that promise. Okay, so and now what we are doing here, you can write promise one dot then, okay, then you can take whatever the action. So just here I'm just going to log the details. Suppose here if you see, if you got the result, and here you can do console.log, just log the result. Okay, fine. And if it is if it shows any error, again it is a callback. So if you see, callbacks are very helpful for us. Okay, so please do practice, write the code along with me. Error, so you can log the error details. Console.log error. Super, fantastic. Now let's see, we can just refresh. So starts sending request to the server, get user. Let's see how much time it will take. We have given 10 like 10 seconds, right? One. Okay, we got the result. Wow, fantastic. So we got email ID, we got user ID, we got username. Wow, this is awesome. This is awesome, right? So, but suppose in case we should test in the, suppose if you don't have a user, okay, if you don't have a user. So here I'm just okay, let user. Okay, suppose if you didn't find any information in that user, so I'm just commenting this. So that means if you don't have a, if this, the fetch API, this REST API, if it doesn't return anything at the time, we should think that okay, this user is not available, so we should hand over to the reject, right? So just test that one as well. So after 10,000 milliseconds, like 10 seconds, you will get the console.log which we have defined in the catch. Yes, we got it. It's not throwing an error. It's not going to block um, the code or application because we just handle properly error. Otherwise, it will throw an error. Okay. So fantastic. I hope you guys understood. So first, before going to the task two, please do this ready. Okay, you should write along with me. Otherwise, you will get confusion. Okay. Just pause this video and just implement this logic and get ready. Okay. Doing. Please do, no problem, don't worry, you have enough time in the world. Okay, just open your laptop, implement this logic and get ready and then start. We are going to do a task 2. Okay, I hope you have done this and you came back. So the promise 1 is done, so fantastic. Now let's write the logic for the promise 2, like get repositories. Okay, this is simple. So now can I copy paste the first one and can I edit for task 2 or can I build one more time from the scratch? What is your choice? Okay, okay, no problem. I hope you have done a practice. That's why we can copy paste it. I'm just doing copy. Okay, just it's simple thing. I hope if you have done a practice, it's not a big deal. Otherwise, let me know in the comments. Yes, I will explain that one also. So here, no problem, get user already done. The next one is get repositories. So just change the name, get repositories. And what is the input for that get repositories? Email ID, right? So just to deal with email ID, hmm, we need email ID. That's it. And here, sending request to the server for repositories. Just change the message. Okay, that's it. And here, GitHub, you can say repos forward slash of particular email ID. Okay, and pass this email ID to him. That is fantastic. Now the set timeout, of course, even we can go for 10,000 milliseconds. Okay, just imagine that we got the email ID. Okay, then we should construct the object for repositories, right? Because we are feeling that we are sending a request to the server and we are getting the result. Okay, let repos because definitely if you have multiple repositories, so that it's better to go with the array. So in that array, so it should have a multiple repositories. And let's see, first of all, for simple understanding, I'm just taking a simple names. So repository title, okay, here. Okay, whenever you are working on a project, normally for front end you will get a one repository. For the back end, you should have a separate repository, and even if you have any other layers of your project, you will design different repositories. You will depends on different repositories. Okay, here I'm just doing. Suppose we are going to build a React application. So React front end app, front and app. This is one repository. Okay, this is front one repository, and this is the title. And what we can do other, okay, like repository created, date, and last updated, how many branches. So I'm just giving the branches, how many branches you have, how many release branches you have, like that. So just I'm just giving branches of 25, of course. Active branches, okay, total branches, active branches, or deleted branches, like that. You can mention anything. So is there any other information required? This is enough, this is enough for simple understanding. So we are going to take, okay, take two three objects, repository details. So for one is for front end, and React we can go with a backend. Okay, backend means we are going to build with a Node.js, Express.js, okay, and some Mongoose libraries. Here this is for React mobile application. So this is web application. This is going to be mobile. Okay, mobile app, React mobile application or React native mobile application, whatever you can. Of course, for simple naming convention, I just taken these names. So for server side, we have 30 branches, and mobile application we have a 26 branches. Okay, to second 15 branches. It's enough. So these are the repository details. I'm just minimizing this. So once you got the repository details, here if you have a repository, because if it is not undefined, that means you got the result. So just pass to the result. That's it. Here this we don't have, we didn't find repositories against this email ID, right? Maybe um, and we should message like error for which one? We are getting error while getting repositories. Get repositories. Okay, this email ID uh, don't have repos, or something went wrong, whatever it is. I'm just giving a generic message. Okay, find repositories. So if you pass the email ID, okay, we should send a request to the server, and he should bring the repositories, and he should hand over to the resolve method, and the promise will take care. And if you want any details, we can go and ask that promise, and we can get the details. Okay, fine. This is a promise. So right now I'm just dealing individually. So this is a promise two. Promise one is done, right? So now I'm just putting comment. Individually, I'm first testing. After that, we can chain them. So here the constant, okay, promise two, okay, promise two, and get repos. Okay, first we can test with the email ID. So if you just pass email ID like svgie dot naren at the rate gmail.com, you just send a request, and then of course this promise two also we can deal with the then method. Okay, same thing. So then method, observe carefully what we are doing. And this promise, once it is fulfilled, it will invoke this then method, and it will hand over the result to that then method, right? The results, you can say just do console.log whether it is working or not. Console.log, what are the results of repositories, or you can give any name. So now again, if it doesn't work properly, go with the catch and just add error message. So error and console.log. Okay, this is going to be long video, but uh, do practice along with me. Then only you don't doesn't feel boring. Otherwise, it will be boring for you. But this is the most important logic. That's why I'm taking time. So promise catch. Let's see whether it is working properly or not. So sending request to a get repositories. Let's see if you pass the email ID properly, whether we'll get the output or not after 10,000 milliseconds. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Wow, fantastic. We got the results. So title, front-end app, and React backend app, React mobile application, and we got the branches also. So fantastic. So even if you can test it, if something went wrong in the middle, okay, if you don't find any repository, just here I'm just putting the not condition so that at least it will go into this one. Okay, even though we have a repositories, I'm just pushing it to reject it and test it whether it is working or not. 10,000 milliseconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we got the error message like error while getting get repositories. This email ID is not don't have any repositories. Okay, of course, we just did some mistakes. Okay, so our second task is also ready. But now tell me, did you get a chance to practice at least one? Okay, get user is ready and get repository is ready. And now we are going to build the method for get commits also. So at least please do it. Please do it. Okay. Don't postpone the things. Okay. Promise one is ready and promise two is ready. So if you see even promise one and promise two, if I just uncommit, right now we are not chaining because this email ID we should pass the because this email ID is coming here. So this result dot email ID we should pass to this one. Okay, how to chain it? How to chain it? This is going to be beautiful. But here, without chaining, let's see whether it is working or not. Okay. So simultaneously, we are sending the request get user and get repositories. After some time, of course, it will invoke the same time if I'm not wrong. This is without chaining. Without chaining, yeah. If you see, we got the result individually. Individually. Okay, fine. Let's go with the because we got the result at the same time because it's not depend on each other. So now get commits. So once you have done a practice for two things, it's not a big deal. So here if you give a repository name or title, so it will return the commits. So I think I will do it quickly. Okay, I'm not going to waste the time because already you understood. So now we are making our task 3. What is the task 3? The task 3, that is the function name is get commits. Get commits. Okay, let me minimize this one also. Let's minimize. So get user is ready and get repository ready. Now we are constructing the promise for get commit. So this is sending a request to the get commits. So get commits here repos forward slash commits. Okay, with the title. The title, if you give a title of repository name or title, whatever you can say, or a repository name. Okay, so just repository name is the title. We are just matching with the title, or you can name it also, whatever it is. Okay, fine. So here, once you provide the repository details, we need to provide the commits against that, right? So here I'm not going to take too much time. Um, so here quickly, like commit comment, okay, comment and timestamp, because at what time you have given a commit, right? That is very important. Here commit, like commit message. It's very good. This message is good. SSH message added a new JavaScript file. Okay, and timestamp. I'm just taking like today. Oh, March 3rd. March 3rd. So means 3 3 3 and 23. Oh, fantastic. The rhyming. 3 3 23. And in the morning, right now 6:26 in the morning. Okay, AM. Just give a timestamp like that. Okay, and just copy. Um, and just to change the information. So first one is add a new file, CSS JavaScript file, CSS file, and upload an image file. So it is at 26. So you can, so okay, we should take the past details. Okay, is it 2nd March and 1st March? You can change like 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. because normally once you are doing a software job, sometimes we are doing work 24 by 7, right? So don't do like that. So fine, okay. So if you're giving commit at 5:26 and if you're giving commit at in the morning 6:28, that means you're working 24 hours, right? At least minimum 12 hours. So here, if you have a commits, just return those commits, and if you don't have commits, okay, error get commits. So this repo um, is not available. Repo, something went wrong while fetching the repos. At least we can put something. Something went wrong. But what the hell is this? Something went wrong. Okay. Okay, don't find. So don't worry about it. So let's test this one as well. If I give a repository name, whether it is returning things properly or not. So the promise one is there. Here promise 2 is there, and now we are going to do promise 3, promise 3, promise 3. So constant promise 3 is equal to new promise. New promise. Oh, sorry, what I'm doing. Get commits. So if we do continuously, so here the title, okay, AAP front tab. Actually, even we can apply some beautiful logic, mm, like filtering. If you get the email ID, we can filter the details. A lot of things are there, but it will take too much time to implement. So it's better to. I'm just passing. Suppose React front end app. Okay, we should get the result. Same kind of thing. I'm just adding. Copy. But here this is a promise 3. Fantastic. So promise 3 also will get results. Let's see. So now I'm just commenting this promise 1 and promise 2 implementation. First, we should go and test the promise 3 whether it is working or not individually. Refresh. Boom, sending request to the server. We have given a repository name. Hopefully, we'll get the result. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, fantastic. We got the commits also. Added new JavaScript file, CSS file, image file, and the timestamp. Fantastic. Now it's time to the chain those three promises, because so far these are not dependent on each other, because we are calling them separately. Okay, if you call them separately, 10,000 milliseconds, 10,000 milliseconds, 10,000 milliseconds, so you will get all the three results at a time because we don't have any dependency. So if you see, we send a request to the server at the same time, you will get the response also almost the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we got the results, but this is not the promise train. The thing is, we should pass this repository, what is that, email to get repo based on get user. That means first get user should complete, it should get the result, then from that result we should pass to the get user. So that means first it will take 10,000 milliseconds, then once you hand over that information to this get repositories, it will take another 10,000 milliseconds. Once you got the repository name, and if you give it to the get commits, again it will take 10,000 milliseconds. So you will get the final commits information after 30,000 milliseconds, right? That's what we need to do it. Now let's chain it. So let me try in a different way, and finally I will give a exact and simple way. So how to chain these things? Promise 1 is there, promise 2 is there, promise 3 is there. So I hope you have an idea. You got an idea, right? Because if you see, what is the logic? What is this promise 2? 1 minute. This task 2 should execute. We should call this one once we got the result, right? Once we got the result for get user, then only we can't call it. So we should call this get repos once the promise 1 is fulfilled. That means promise 1 got the result, then invoke it. Take the information from promise 1 and pass it to the promise 2. Now if you see, this is beautiful, simple, we can do it. So instead of calling, we are calling, you can call this get repos. Okay, observe carefully. You should call get repos once you got the result, right? This is the result. Understand carefully. This is the result. So what I'm doing, I'm calling get repos, get repos, get repos once we got the result from get user. And here what I'm doing, we should pass the email ID, right? We should pass that email ID is coming from this user. Result of promise 1 dot email ID, because this get user returning a object, and this is a property of that. Got it? So it is complex, but it's going to be very easy. Okay, just think about. Okay, now, okay, promise 1 is there, Raghu. Okay, you did managed very well. Get repos after getting the successful, after the success of these things, after the successful of promise 1, you're calling the second 2. But when you are going to call promise 3, get commits, after after success of get repository promise, right? So if you see here, just observe carefully. So here, this JavaScript is providing the options in a beautiful way. So here, what you need to do, whatever the whenever you call the get repos, it will return a promise to you. So please do practice along with me, then only you will understand clearly. Otherwise it will be a confusing. Of course, in the end I will provide a simple solution, but let's learn how it is working. So once you got this, just return what I'm saying. Okay, you're using this curly braces, you have two statements, and whenever you call the get repositories, you will get a promise to, right? You will get a promise to here. Once you call this, you will get a promise to. So just return this promise to a promise 1. So now if you see, and then this is beautiful, you can attach this then. Okay, one minute. Okay, I don't want to confuse you. So what you can do, you can chain like this. Okay, once you promise one dot fulfilled, one promise one dot fulfilled, you can call the second promise. So if you see, you are returning promise 2. So this is the then of promise 2 technically. Okay, observe carefully. Then now whatever the logic you have done here, of course, same thing, right? Otherwise, just I will copy this one. Copy, observe carefully, then result. You will get the result, okay, of promise 2. So let me comment these three things whether it is working or not. Observe carefully. So right now you have only, just imagine you have only get user and what is get repositories. What I'm doing, I'm invoking the get user. I'm getting the promise 1. I'm getting the promise 1, and once it is fulfilled, I'm passing result.email id to a get repositories for the task 2, and it is also get repository also returning a new promise, right? That is a promise 2. So if you return that promise, okay, and if you put a dot, then means we are attaching this then to a promise 2 actually, technically. Okay, don't worry, it's easy. So otherwise, if you really understand in another way, so what we need to do here, we need to put a constant promise 2 and this promise 1 dot, then we'll return a promise 2 here. That's going to be a clumsy. That's why, okay, this is enough, because that's why promise chain is more important. So if you see whether you are getting a result or not, so imagine here this then, okay, okay, if you see this then is a method of promise 1, okay, and this is against the promise 2. Okay, okay, even now I'm going to simplify one more level, so you don't need to return like this. Okay, understand carefully. I'm removing this one as well. I'm attaching to get user. So now it will be much more beautiful. One minute. 1 minute, don't worry. Once you understand this chaining, so if you see, we are calling the get user, it will get the promise, right? And we are attaching the then to promise 1, and we are calling the get user, it will also return a new promise, and we are attaching invoking then method of promise 2. Okay, in the same way, what you can do, promise 3 also. Let me, because here right now I didn't written logic for returning the promise 2. So now let's see, refresh. So we have a two asynchronous things. We have done a chaining, so that first it will invoke the send request to the server. Once you got the result, then it will invoke the send. So if you see, once you got the result, it has sent a request to the second promise. After 10,000 milliseconds, again you will get the second promise result, hopefully. Yeah, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Observe carefully. No, watch one more time. So first we have sent a request to the get user. Okay, it will return a response after 10,000 milliseconds. Once we got the response, now we are calling to the second promise, second asynchronous task. So now it will get the result, because observe carefully. So here, after getting the response from the first asynchronous operation, once you got the result, then only we are calling the get repository, right? That's what's the chaining. That's what the relation, right? This task 2 depend on task 1, and task 3 should depend on task 2. Now if you see, we can do a same thing here. What we are doing here, we need to call get commits, right? Whatever you are doing, whatever we are doing, get commits. You see, sorry, you can invoke the get commits. But from where you will get the this message? Okay, we should not hard code it. So from where we will get? We are getting from the results of promise to, right? Results of promise to. So even we can polish it. Result, it is array, right? It is an array. So just take array of 0 dot title. Superb. So this get commit also return a new promise, right? Okay. Just return that to return back. Okay. One. So if you see, this is for the first promise. Okay. This is the then against the first promise. This is the then against the second promise. And now same thing for the third one. So just catch it. Catch it, my draw, match, my draw. So okay, let me copy from here itself because already we have commented. This is for third. Okay, here I'm not going to do anything because already we got the commits details. So if you, no problem, even if you have one catch method, if you get any error in the promise 1 or promise 2 or promise 3, one catch method is enough. Okay, it will catch. That's the beauty of JavaScript. Okay, now if you see how simple is this, and we can simplify much more level. Okay, but you should do practice, otherwise it's too difficult. So what we are doing, simply get user is returning a promise 1, and then we are invoking then method from promise 1. Okay, and we are returning the result, right? So what we are returning here, promise 2. So we are attaching this then against the promise 2, and it is also returning another promise. Okay, and we are attaching this then to a promise 2, or so this is for promise 3. Okay, so let's see, hopefully you will get the results. Now we have a chain of 3 asynchronous thing. So first we have send a request to the server, get user. Once you got the get user details, then only it will invoke the get repos. Okay, we have send a request to the get repos. After you got the result from the get repos, then we are invoking the third asynchronous call. So if you see, we are invoking the third asynchronous call. Then we will get this result after 10,000 milliseconds. Please. Wow, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I hope you love it, right? If you have done a practice, if you just if you are able to implement it, then you will get a lot of fun and kick. So I'm saying. So this is the simplest thing. So here, don't get confused here. Go forget user, you're like writing like this, yeah, okay, but here this is a chaining, right? Once you got the result from the chain promise 1. So if you see, now I will tell you one the beautiful example. So if you see, if you have seen some some running race in the Olympics, right? So Usain Bolt, something, just mention who is your favorite um, like what we can call sprinter or something. Okay, okay, for me Usain Bolt, of course, many people. So there is another one is there. So here sometimes 4 players will participate. Okay, 4 players will participate. So player P1 and P2 and P3 and P4. Okay, so if you see, the first P1 person will run from some distance to some distance, and he will hand over one stick to a P2. Then only he should start. And once he reaches, so we can put some points, marker. Okay, just imagine here, I hope you already understood P1, player 1. Okay, player 2, and this is player 3. Okay, so what will happen, this player 1 will, once we got the whistle, so player 1 will run fastly to this person and he will hand over the stick. So then only he will invoke. So he will run like this. Once he hand over a stick to a player 2, and he will run up to this much, and he will hand over that stick to the player 4. Okay, so that's what. So here also we are returning the promise to him, and you're and then you are returning a new promise to him, and he is returning a new promise to him. Okay, not the same stick. Here we are returning a new promises, new promises, new promises. Okay, look, now let me rewrite this logic in a much more simpler way. That's where you will find the beauty of arrow functions. Arrow functions. So I'm just writing. So just let me comment this one. Suppose you don't need this result if you don't need to check the console.log. Just remove. I'm just removing the console.log. It's not required, right? Anywhere. Okay, for the final one, we need a console.log. Okay, okay, fine. Just remember in the arrow function, if you have only one statement, you no need to use return and you no need to use curly brace, right? Isn't it? Do you remember? Hopefully. What you can do? So if you have only one statement, get repositories, you no need to use return and you no need to use a curly brace. So let's just remove it. I'm just removing the curly brace and just remove the return statement. Then super, right? So how simple is this? So even you no need to use this function brace and also fine. Just move this to the top. Fantastic. This is repository one. So here also, I'm saying if you don't have extra logic, okay, then only you can do it. So if you have only one statement here, so you can remove this return, because by default arrow function will take care of return. So whatever the result you have, it will take care. So get commits, whatever the result you will get, it will return automatically. This arrow function will take care, right? The result. Okay, now it's time for task 3. Task 3, we are just doing a console.log. Even here also, it has only one statement, so that you don't need to use the curly brace. Curly brace. No need of semicolon. Okay, super. Fantastic. So here also, error also, if you have only one argument, have only one statement, just remove these curly braces also. Remove this one also. Now see how beautiful is this, right? Get user, promise 1, promise 2, and promise 3, and yeah, again is then method of promise 1, then method of promise 2. Okay, whatever you are returning here, we are applying then on the promise of this first one, like that. Okay, even if you see result and results, you're getting confusion, right? So make it proper way. So what is the result of first get users? Okay, get user result is a user, right? User. So just make it much more meaningful way. So user dot email ID. So once you got the user object, just take user dot email ID and you can pass it to get repositories. Fantastic. And here you will get repos, right? Repositories. And here you can take first repos title. Fantastic. Here, just tell me what is that third one? Commits, right? Commits. Just display the commits. That's fantastic. It's fantastic. So now if you see how beautiful is this, just remove all this stuff. So now if you understand this simple logic, okay, even you have 10 asynchronous calls you can handle easily. Okay, so if you see, we have promise 1, promise 2, and promise 3, and we just handle properly. We need to one catch method is enough, because if we got error in first asynchronous call, second asynchronous call, third asynchronous call, anywhere, it will, okay, it will come to this catch method. That's a beauty. So now execute it. So but you can't get this results because normally we are not using console.log. Sending request to the server get user. Once it is successful, it will send a request to the server get repos. Okay, once it is successful, it will send a request to the get commits, and get commits will return the results. Okay, now we will get a commits details, but our we need a final result of commits only, right? We don't need to check a repository name on all those things. So this is fantastic. This is fantastic. So now I think once you have done a practice, so you can chain n number of things, n number of things. So, but please do practice and try to understand. Even if you didn't understand this one, like Raghu, why you are doing this? No, no, simple, simple, simple thing. So first we are getting promise right, promise one, and we are doing the then method. So in this then method, okay, observe carefully, return promise to. Okay, you're returning the promise to. So then if you put then, observe carefully, if you put then, that means what you're returning promise to, right? So this then will apply against the promise to. Simple. Again here also you are returning in that second, then you are returning promise 3, promise 3. So if you put dot then, okay, this then method is against this promise 3, this then method is against promise 2, this then method is against promise 1. So here even get user is returning the promise 1. So if you say get user return promise 1, that then, and then it is returning another promise, it is returning another promise, that is promise 2, and this is going to work against the promise which is going to return by get user. Okay, so hopefully you will understand, but if you feel confusing or something, Raghu, I didn't understand how it is working, no problem, just put in the comments so that I will explain this section one more time in a detailed way. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, thank you, and hope you enjoyed this one, because this is the most interesting thing in the JavaScript world. Okay, thank you, and see you in the next session. In the next session, we are going to understand a lot of things are there. Okay, promise dot all. Okay, and a lot of interesting things are there. Okay, let's learn it. Okay, I think already it's a 58 minutes. Oh my God. Okay, this is a big video. Bye bye. See you in the next video.